Hello everyone, welcome back to Lucky Loaders 15, and in this video we're going to be previewing the Betfair Chase at Haydock tomorrow, the feature race of the entire weekend, and it's a great renewal tomorrow. Even though there's only 5 runners, all the horses that you would want to see there are declared for tomorrow, so really looking forward to watching this spectacle tomorrow. And in this video I'll give you my selection for that race tomorrow, and we'll go through some of the horses running in the race tomorrow, and I'll give you my opinion on their chances. So without further ado, we'll look at the favourite straight away, and that's Might Bite, who's round about an even money shot with bookmakers at the moment, trained by Nicky Henderson, who hasn't actually won this race yet. Nico de Boinville was booked for the ride. There was some concerns earlier in the week that he might not be fit enough to ride Might Bite tomorrow, but he's recovered in time from his thumb injury, and that duo are going to be going tomorrow. So Might Bite, what's he got to offer tomorrow? Well, obviously, he's got the ground up his street. Now, when he met Native River in the Gold Cup back at Cheltenham in March at the festival, the ground was completely against him that day. Pretty much the whole week they had a lot of rain and there was a lot of juice in the ground, and it was a real stamina test, and I just think he hated the ground that day. He's got his conditions tomorrow where most of his best form has come on good ground, and it's described as good tomorrow, so that's a massive tick in his box. Also as well, he's a very classy animal, but last year though, I didn't think he was at his best. I think he won the King George just because really he was the best horse in the race that day, and actually Double Shuffle and Thistlecrack and Teeth 2, who didn't finish too far behind him, were actually giving him a good race that day, and I don't think Might Bite is really that much better than those horses in my opinion. Also as well, Nicky Henderson was pleased most of all last season with his Aintree win. Now he did win well at Aintree, but I just think some of those horses, when they're running at Aintree in particular, can just get tired from a long campaign, and I think that's what was the case. He hadn't been raced too many times in the season, and even though he had a hard race in the Cheltenham Gold Cup, I just think his class prevailed on that day, and yeah, it was a good win, but again, I don't think he was right at his best. Also as well tomorrow, I think he could be worth taking on, because if you actually look at his form going out first time, he's actually been turned over 2 years ago as an odds-on favourite at Foss Lass by a horse of Rebecca Curtis's. So he could be vulnerable tomorrow, and he might need the run. So for me, I think maybe you could find some value elsewhere. Native River is next in the betting at 5-2. Now this horse tomorrow, a lot of people saying the ground could be against him, but his connections are adamant that he can go well on good ground. Trained by Colin Tizard, Rich Johnson's booked for the ride. Now this Cheltenham Gold Cup winner earlier in the year, I think really out of the first two in the market should be the favourite in my opinion. He absolutely had Might Bite in his back pocket last season, but he had the conditions. He likes cutting the ground. Arguably 2 of his best ever career performances have come when he won the Welsh Grand National in a bog, and also as well in the Cheltenham Gold Cup. However, he did run a good race when he finished 3rd in the 2017 Cheltenham Gold Cup, when that was better ground. So he does have form claims on it, but I just think tomorrow maybe something else could maybe beat him, and I'm actually going to go for Thistlecrack tomorrow. He is my selection. And a lot of people might think I'm mad, but I think he could be a good each way bet tomorrow. He's 7-1 with bookmakers at the moment, trained again by Colin Tizard. Tom Scudamore's booked for the ride. Now a lot of people forget last season that I just think he was a total write-off from the word go. Now he got a lot of criticism when he blew up at Newbury over the hurdles when he made his reappearance. It was won by Beer Goggles, but I just think that day connections always said that he was really going to need that run, because he had a massive injury which kept him out of the 2017 Cheltenham Gold Cup, and I just don't think I think they rushed him back last year to get him in contention, at least to run in some races. He ran well, I thought, actually, in the King George, to be fair to him, even though again he wasn't race fit, and as soon as he was finished from the race, they said that he had an injury blow and he was out for the rest of the season. Now this season they're saying that's all gone. They've learnt their lessons from last year. He was ready to go to the Charlie Hall Chase, but unfortunately the ground went against him. The ground's slightly better than it was at Wetherby a few weeks ago, so this has had to have been the new target. However, I think he prefers, in my opinion, going this way round, even though his probably career highlight so far was his King George win. I just think a lot of his good form has come this way round. It should be a track that I think will suit him. A long galloping track. His jumping when it was on par was probably the best I've ever seen. He absolutely loves to fly his fences. He's an out and out galloper, and I just think tomorrow he might have been underrated by quite a few people, because to be honest, if you actually just forget last season, his form is right up there with a lot of the best horses around. So for me, Thistlecrack, he might just have it on him tomorrow, just to maybe pull a few surprises over Might Bite and Native River. Also as well, he's got a good record going fresh. He's won pretty much all his times he's ever come out fresh, except that run at Newbury last year, which just totally forget about that. Just forget he ever ran last season, to be honest with you. However, this is probably the last season he's got to show if he's going to be that horse that everybody's thought he could be. But the connections, especially the Tizzard, say he's the best they've ever seen him. And really, I think tomorrow he's going to go close. Bristol de Mai, unsure on the ground, obviously won this race by ridiculous lengths last year, 50 odd lengths I think it was in the end, but he needs more cut in the ground, he really does. I think away from Haydock, he really does disappoint, even though he did win the Charlie Hill in 2017, but I don't think that was really a strong renewal. So yeah, Bristol de Mai, I think it will finish fourth in this race in my opinion. Then Clan des Obeaux, again, a good horse. Paul Nicholls said he didn't have him right last season. He's a 12 to 1 shot. Harry Cobden but for the ride. I think he will improve over time, but I just don't think he's top notch yet. But maybe he could improve this season and maybe make his frame, make his mark to go and make the frame in these kind of races next year. So Clan des Obeaux is not for me. So my selection is going to be Thistlecrack, but if you don't want to have a bet in this race, maybe the forecast could be the way to go. And I would actually have maybe a reverse forecast with Thistlecrack and Native River. I just think Might Bite, I've just never been impressed with Might Bite. He's never really floated my boat. And for me, I think he won't win tomorrow, and I don't actually think he'll be in the first two. So that's going to be, I'm going with a Tizzard double tomorrow. I think it's going to be their day, and hopefully they can do the business for the West Country. So, yep, that's my preview for the Betfair Chase tomorrow. I probably am barking mad by selecting Thistlecrack, but I just think he's been completely overlooked, and I think he's going to go really close tomorrow. So he's my selection, and that's all I've got to say. So if you haven't done so already, please hit the subscribe button for more horse racing videos. You can also follow me on Twitter as well. I'm Matt LuckyLoaders15, and that's all I've got to say. So please gamble responsibly, and we'll be seeing you soon.